Hello friends, welcome to MOOC on Criminal Justice Administration. I am Dr. Anurag Deep, Associate Professor, Indian Law Institute, New Delhi. My presentation is on a very important aspect of criminal justice, that is custodial justice. There are 5 learning outcomes of my presentation. First one is to create awareness as to what are the rights of a person who is detained or arrested illegally. Now, second outcome is where are these rights? What are the norms? Therefore, normative framework of these rights and freedom of a person who is arrested. Third is from where these rights came, that is the origin and evolution of these rights. Fourth outcome is judicial approach to these developments regarding custodial justice. And the fifth outcome is custodial justice as a part of constitutional justice. Maintaining law and order is the responsibility of police. So when the police has reasonable belief that a person has committed some crime or is going to commit a crime, the police arrests the person. When the person is taken into custody, his right to move is restricted, but his other rights are still intact. These rights are human rights and these rights are fundamental rights. The value that says that all these rights should be implemented in word and spirit is called as custodial justice. In other words, custodial justice is a place, is a value that a person who is in custody will be fairly treated, will be treated like a simple human being, and this place is made by the state instrumentalities. State instrumentalities means police, prosecutor, prison officials and the judges. The philosophical foundation of custodial justice can be traced in the Constitution of India. The preamble declares justice, equality, liberty and dignity of individual. The fundamental right part under Article 22, Article 21, Article 19, Article 14 and Article 39A applies this philosophical foundation. There are 3 aspects of custodial justice. First, justice at the time of arrest. Second, justice during custody. And third, justice post conviction followed by release. Justice at the time of arrest means when a person is in custody, as soon as he comes in custody, certain rights automatically springs up. For example, he has a right to know the grounds of arrest. He has a right to remain silent, and then he has a right to consult his advocate. These rights are recognized under the Constitution of India under Article 22 as well as in Criminal Procedure Code 1973. The second aspect of custodial justice is justice during custody. This is a big area developed through interpretation of Article 21, which we will discuss later on. And third is justice post conviction, that contains pre-sentence hearing and absence of solitary confinement, dignified living, right to read books during conviction and right to parole, furlough, etc. Now, the evolution of custodial justice jurisprudence can be traced in 3 judgments of the Supreme Court. One is Sheila Barse, second is Joginder Kumar and third is the famous D.K. Basu. In Sheila Barse case, the main issue was the protection of female prisoners in the lockup. Their conditions were pathetic. Therefore, the Supreme Court has issued certain guidelines, and the guidelines were like nomination of certain advocate who will regularly meet these prisoners, women prisoners, and give them legal aid. This way, it was also decided that Article 39A, which contains free legal aid, is also a part of fundamental right. The court also directed that certain leaflets should be published which are not only in English but also in Hindi and Marathi, and that should be pasted on the walls of each cell of the lockup in Maharashtra. Another direction was to give the ground of arrest to all female prisoners and to let their relatives know where are they locked up. These grounds were applicable in Maharashtra. The next important case was Joginder Kumar. This was more important because unlike Sheila Barse, the direction in this case was pan-Indian. In this case, following the first directions in Sheila Barse, the court held that every person who is arrested has not only right to know the grounds of arrest, but his near relatives should be immediately informed about his arrest. Second important directive in Joginder Kumar versus State of UP 1994 was that this information that friend has been informed should be mentioned in the diary, not only in general diary, but it is the responsibility of the magistrate to ask that whether the friend has been informed or not. This was a very important direction. Then the third important case was D.K. Basu case, D.K. Basu versus State of West Bengal 1997, where 11 such directions were given. Indeed, these directions followed the directions in Sheila Barse case and Joginder Kumar case, and certain new directions were given. Later on, these directions were incorporated in Criminal Procedure Code. So, in this segment, we finished this first segment, and in this segment, we have discussed what are the learning outcomes, what is the philosophical foundation of custodial justice, what are the three aspects of custodial justice, and how judicial development, especially in these three cases, have taken place. In the next segment, we will go in detail the normative framework of custodial justice. In the second segment, we will go in detail the normative framework as to the custodial justice. Under section 41 of CRPC, police can arrest a person without warrant if the case is a serious case. However, it doesn't mean the police has to arrest in all cases, even if it is a serious case. If the police feels that no arrest is currently required, police is obliged to send a notice under section 41A, capital A of CRPC. Then even if the police wishes to take a person in custody under section 49, police cannot use excessive force. Once the police takes a person in custody, according to Article 22 as discussed previously, a person has three rights. One, he has every right to know what are the grounds of arrest. Second, he has every right to consult a lawyer, and he has right to consult a lawyer of his choice to defend himself. CRPC section 50 also makes provision that if the case is a bailable type of case in which a police is obliged to give bail, then person has a right to get information that bail is available in this case if he is able to give a surety. Therefore, Constitution as well as CRPC recognizes right to information of a person in custody. Under section 41B clause C, the person in custody has right that his relative or his friend be informed as early as possible. Under section 41B clause A, the same is made the duty of the police officer, that it is duty of the police to inform the relative or friend of a person who is taken into custody. The person in custody has also right to know the name and rank of the police officer, whether a memorandum of arrest has been made or not, whether this memorandum of arrest has been brought in the notice of the relatives or not, whether it was countersigned by the person in custody or not, and all these informations are available in the notice board of the control room or not. After right to information to the person in custody, the next important right is right to legal aid. Under Article 22, it is clearly provided that a person in custody has a fundamental right to consult his lawyer, not just his lawyer, the lawyer of his choice. In the case of M.H. Hoscott versus State of Maharashtra, 1978, it was decided that if the person is poor, it is the duty of the state to provide him a lawyer free of cost. Right to information to the person in custody, right to legal aid, then comes very important right, right to remain silent. Article 20 clause 3 and Article 21 of the Constitution makes it a fundamental right for everyone in custody to remain silent. Under CRPC, similar right to silence can be traced under section 161(2), 313 clause 3 and 315. This right to silence owes its origin to a very time-honored doctrine of presumption of innocence. In the Nandini Satpathy case, Justice Krishna Iyer said that presumption of innocence is one of the most important principle of criminal jurisprudence, and therefore right to silence is a fundamental right. Then right to medical checkup is also a right of the person in custody. This right was incorporated after D.K. Basu judgment, and it was incorporated in CRPC in 2008. In other words, everyone who is in custody, it is mandatory that his medical checkup be made. Next important right is 24-hour rule. When a person is arrested, it is right of that person that he be presented before a magistrate within 24 hours of his arrest. This is provided under Article 22 clause 2 of the Constitution of India as well as section 57 of CRPC. Next important principle of custodial justice is right to fair trial. Indeed, right to fair trial is an umbrella concept under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. It contains presumption of innocence, right to cross-examine witness under section 273, then right to speedy trial under section 309 of CRPC, then right to get all relevant documents under section 207 and 208 of CRPC, then section 328 says that the trial should be suspended if the person is of unsound mind, then all the orders should be speaking orders, and the court should function and decide a case in an open court subject to exceptions. In the case of Muhammad Hussain alias Zulfikar Ali versus NCT Delhi 2012, the Supreme Court again decided that right to fair trial and right to speedy trial both are fundamental rights. Of course, right to speedy trial is qualitatively different from right to fair trial. So, in this second segment, we have discussed right to be informed, right to legal aid, right to medical checkup, and right to fair trial. In the next segment, we will discuss right to remand, right to bail, and right to discharge, followed by prison justice and summary. One of the important aspect of custodial justice we discussed in the second segment was that a person is required to be produced within 24 hours. Now, once the person is produced within 24 hours before a magistrate has two options. One, that he can release the person on bail if he finds there are no reasonable ground to detain him. Otherwise, if the magistrate feels that there are some grounds, then the court can order remand. Now, this remand can be of two types. One, police remand, other judicial remand. A magistrate can give police remand for a maximum period of 15 days. Otherwise, if the 15 days period is over, then the judicial remand is granted. The 60 days judicial remand can be given if the offence has the maximum punishment of 10 years or less than 10 years, while in case the maximum punishment is more than 10 years, 19 days judicial remand can be given. Under section 167(3), the magistrate is obliged to give reasons for the remand. In Husainara Khatun case in 1980, the Supreme Court decided that under section 167 clause 2, the person in custody has a right to release if the conditions are satisfied. There are other provisions of remand under various sections of CRPC. For example, section 123, 209, section 269, section 309, section 431 and like. The next important, rather most important aspect of custodial justice is bail. A person in custody has right to get bail under certain circumstances because personal liberty under Article 21 is a fundamental right. Bail provisions are provided under 436 and 437 of CRPC. However, under section 50, it is already mentioned that a person has right to get information that under certain circumstances, that is in bailable offences cases, he can get bail if he can arrange for sureties. Now, section 436 gives the person right to get bail, and police is obliged to give bail if the person is able to arrange sureties or securities for his release. However, in 2005, through an amendment, it was incorporated in CRPC that if a person is indigent and for 1 week he is not able to arrange bail, he shall be released on bail under section 436. In the case of Supreme Court Legal Aid Committee versus Union of India in 1994, the Supreme Court held that those under trial prisoners who have already spent half of the time of the maximum punishment which can be imposed on them on conviction, they have to be released. Similar, a provision has also been incorporated in CRPC for this purpose. After remand and bail, another important aspect of custodial justice is discharge. When the magistrate feels that there are no prima facie evidence, there are no evidence to believe that the person has committed this offence, then he has to discharge the accused. He has to discharge the person in custody. This is provided under various provisions of CRPC. For example, section 227, section 239, section 245. Once one sentence is given, the person goes to the prison as a convicted prisoner. Here comes the prison justice, because though he is a convicted prisoner, he does not lose his right to live with dignity. Therefore, the court has interpreted the law, prison manuals, Article 21, and delivered various judgments to declare there are certain rights even available to the prisoner. For example, a Constitution Bench judgment in State of Maharashtra versus Prabhakar 1966 held that even a prisoner has a right to publish book. In the case of Bhuvan Mohan Patnaik versus State of Andhra Pradesh 1974, it was decided that prisoner has a right to believe. Then regarding capital convict, there are a number of judgments. For example, whether a capital convict has necessarily to be kept in solitary confinement. In Sunil Batra case in 1978, the court held that no, a capital convict is not necessarily to be kept in solitary confinement. Similarly, the mercy petition should be decided as early as possible, and unexplained delay in the mercy petition violates the fundamental right of a prisoner. This was decided in a series of cases, for example, Triveni Bain judgment of 1988. The court also decided in Prem Shankar versus Delhi administration in 1980 that handcuffing violates Article 21. Then in Francis Corelli versus Union Territory of Delhi 1981, the court decided that a prisoner has a right to meet his family members. Then in M.H. Housecott versus State of Maharashtra 1978, it was decided that there is a right to get free copy of the judgment. In Sunil Batra case, again it was decided that a convicted prisoner and an under trial prisoner both should be kept apart. Then if a person is held in the prison for unreasonable period, then he should be compensated. It was decided in the case of Rudal Shah versus State of Bihar in 1983. This way we find that a number of rights are available to the prisoner who are either under trial prisoner or even convicted prisoner. So summary of all this discussion is that custodial justice is indeed a value, that a person in custody has to be treated as a human being. Philosophical foundation for this is human rights jurisprudence, international documents and the Constitution of India, as well as judicial discourse. Various judgments like Sheila Barse and D.K. Basu, they developed this custodial jurisprudence, and finally this custodial justice is indeed an aspect of constitutional justice. Thank you very much.